This is Gemara and Eruvin Daf Mem Tes. This is Sunday's Daf, Erev Yom Kippur, all the learning for this week, the week of Yom Kippur, and the week of Sukkot. Erev Sukkot, I should say, is sponsored as Vesachos for Shlema, for Al Shem Yehuda Leib and Perel Chaya as he fights cancer, as well as Brian Dilchana Bas Esther, who they found something that also might be cancerous. This week's learning should be a special schos for Shlema for them. As well, of course, all our Chaylim Yudamer bin Kerem and Vechan from Chanita Chaim and Serge Lamsim and Izados Rabas Kanada Basim Chaysa Yuschaim Saresli Yusuf Mendel it's Bitten Shalea Shlomi Bas Novi Shav Fake of Shir Khan Faldova Ben Itariva Daniel Ben Khan Rizal Chaim Nachum Ben Mendel Besoy Shar Chali Yisrael. I'm sure many of you have been realizing that we're trying to get these dafim up early, as we all know how busy life gets between Yom Kippur, Yom Tif, etc. So hopefully everyone will keep together with the daf. Let's pick it up on the bottom of Mem Chesed B'Beis. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Zu Divri Rav Shimon. These are the words of Rav Shimon. Avol Chachamim Oimrim Rishas Achas Mishamesh L'Shtei Rishiyos Avlo Shtei Rishiyos Mishamesh L'Rishas Achas. These words of the Chacham are actually quite debated. Tremendous machlokes Rashi Taisis. We're going to take, as always, the more pashut Rashi's pshat. Let's understand what's going on. We had a case in the Mishnah. We'll pull up a picture, even though this really isn't the precise picture of what we're talking about, because this is going to be the Mutter Asr. Don't get confused over here, because this is going to be the Chachamim. Let's just discuss. What did Rav Shimon teach us? So Rav Shimon in Mishnah taught us, as you see in front of you, there are three Chatzeiros. I'm in the middle, as we keep on saying. There's a Chatzar on my right and a Chatzar on my left. Says Rav Shimon, I could carry to the outside Chatzeiros, the outside Chatzeiros can carry to me. However, the two outside Chatzeiros cannot carry to each other. That's what Rav Shimon in the Mishnah said. So comes along the Gemara right now, and the Gemara teaches that is the words of Rav Shimon. Avol Chachamim Maimrim, as you see in front of you, this picture says so beautifully. The Shitas Rashi, Rishos Achas, one Rishos Mishameses L'Shtei Rishuyos. Two Rishuyos could use one Rishos. However, Aval Loi Shtei Rishuyos, two different Rishuyos cannot be Mishtamesh one Rishos. So, as you see over here, the two outside Rishiyos, as you just follow, the mutters are going inside, as you see in the picture. The two outside Rishiyos, this is how Rashi learns, is allowed to use the inside Rishos. Why? Because they are very precise. Each outside Chatzar has only one Eruv with the inside Chatzar, and therefore they can use the inside Chatzar. However, the inside Chatzar has two ways to go. He could go right, he could go left. So since there's not a definitive chatzar over here, a definitive eruv, a definitive direction where this middle chatzar is going, sorry about that, Jake. Therefore, say the Chachamim, according to Rashi, the middle chatzar is not allowed to use the outside. This is the Chachamim arguing on Rav Shimon. I keep on emphasizing Rashi. If you on your own time, you look at Taisis. Taisis learns the exact opposite pshat over here. But again, let's keep it to Rashi to keep things simple. So again, Rav Shimon learned the outside guys can move the inside can use the outside, just the two outside cannot use each other. The Chachamim are coming along and they're telling me no. The outside ones could be mishtamish with one Rishos, the inside. However, the middle one cannot use two different Rishiyos, which really gives us a little bit of a glimpse that when we come to Eruv Chatziros, everything has to be definitive, as we're going to see more and more today. Everything has to be definitive. You have to know exactly where you're going. You have to know exactly what's going on. But since this middle Chatzar doesn't know where he's going, he can go outside one way, outside the other way. Therefore, say the Chachamim, it is not a good Eruv. Moving along to the Gemara. The last line of Mem Chesed B'Beis says the Gemara, Kamita Kamid Shmuel, when they came in front of Shmuel, Amar Ali, he said to me, again, that was Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Important. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav. Now, Kamita Kamid Shmuel, Rav Yehuda came in front of Shmuel, and Shmuel says, Amar Ali, moving along to Mem Tesam and Aleph, Av Zu Divri Rav Shimon. This is also the words of Rav Shimon. Meaning, Rav Shimon in the Mishnah is not like we thought. It's not that the two outside use the inside use the outside, just the two outside cannot use each other. Rather, afzu, that which we just said, this picture that we just showed, this that we just said a moment ago, Rav just taught us, this is the Chachamim? No, this is Rav Shimon, says Shmuel. The Rav Shimon holds that the outside can use the inside, however, the inside cannot use the outside. So what do the Chachamim hold? Back into the Gemara, Chachamim Aimrim, Shloshton Asurais, Chachamim hold, no one can use anything. It's all Aser. So Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. What is the Machlekes Rav Shimon and the Chachamim in the Mishnah? Says the Gemara, Tanikavas Rav Yehuda. Let me bring a raya to Rav Yehuda. I'll leave it to Shmuel. Again, who was Rav Yehuda? Leave it to Shmuel. That was the second opinion. That was what? That Rav Shimon holds that the outside can use the inside. The inside cannot use the outside. Not like we learned in the Mishnah, and the Chachamim learned that Shleishta Nasuris. What's the raya? Amar Rav Shimon. To what is this comparable? This is Rav Shimon in the Mishnah. Three chatzeiros are open to each other, and as well they're open to Rishas Rabbim. If the two outside guys make an ear with the middle guy, what's the halacha? This one is allowed to bring from his house and eat inside the middle chatzar. Meaning each outside person, this could bring inside, this could bring inside, and they can eat in the middle. As well, when they have leftover food, what are they allowed to do? Zumach zeres so this one could bring the excess back to his house. And this bring the excess back to his house. So what did Rav Shimon just teach us? That the outside guys, they're allowed to come inside, they're allowed to have a party here, bring their food, eat, bring the extras back home. 3 are aser. So Rashi points out this is clearly like Shmuel. Because what it say? It said that Rav Shimon holds that the outside guys could eat an inside guy and bring the leftovers back home. Could the middle guy go to the outside? It did not say that, clearly implying that the middle guy, according to Rav Shimon, cannot go to the outside. And the Chacham holds Shlosh Asurais, a clear raya to Shmuel. Now the Gemara shows, where did Shmuel get this thing from? Where did Shmuel know that the outside guys, they're allowed to go to the middle, but the middle guy can't go to the outside? Shmuel says, Chatzar shebein shnei mevu'ais. I have a chatzar that's between two mevu'ais. So there are different pictures, but in my brain, maybe I hope you agree. To keep things very simply, you could envision the exact same picture we had before. It's really the exact same thing. We have something in the middle, and we have two things on the side. Before it was chatzar, chatzar, chatzar. Now it's mavui, mavui, chatzar in the middle. Just to keep it very simple. So I have a chatzar between two mavois. Now obviously, we know what's a mavui. A mavui opens into more chatzeris, into more houses. So we can really extend this all the way out, and we would explain that we have houses, then we have chatzar, then we have mavui, then we have this middle chatzar that we're talking about. But again, the integral ingredient that we're talking about right now is chatzar in the middle, with two mavois on the sides. Says Shmuel, Irvu im shneim. If the chatzar, this middle chatzar, makes an erev with the two mevu'ais, asura im shneim, then he is asur with them. Loi irva. If he does not make an erev im shneim, aiseres al shneim, then they are asur onto that mavui. Now, what exactly just happened over here? The wording is a little bit difficult, so let's explain. Shmuel basically just said the exact same thing he taught us a moment ago. What did Shmuel just say? Irva im shneim. That if he, the middle chatzar, me standing in the middle, made an erev with the two mevu'ais, asura im shneim, I, the middle guy, am asur with them. Just like before, the middle chatzar was asur with the two outside chatzeris. Says Shmuel, the same thing over here. If I made an erev with the two mevu'ais, a shita of mevu'ais, I try to make one big party over here, since I don't know which way I'm going to go, I don't know if I'm going to go right, I don't know if I'm going to go left, therefore I'm not allowed to carry in there. Now, that is really the raya where Shmuel knows his din. Now, the Brisa just continues with the din the Brisa is talking about, that lawyer, but let's say I did not make an erev im shneim, I didn't make an erev with anyone. Then what happened? Aiseris al shneim. Then they, the two outside people, cannot carry into their own mavui. Why not? So we know that this din is because we know that the only way you could carry into a mavui if everyone is equal partners in that mavui. So I'm in the middle. When I leave my house, when I leave my chatzar, where do I go? Either go to the street to the right, I go to the street to the left. Those are the two mavois. I go outside. So since I'm allowed to go and I walk either way, if I don't make an erev with them on the outside, they now have a problem. Because they now have a street that I am not a part of, because I did not partner in their mavi. Since I did not partner in their mavi, they are not allowed to carry from their chutzner on the outside into that mavi. Of course, I as well won't be able to, but that I wasn't able to do either way. That is the raya that Shmuel learned his din. Again, before we continue the brisa, because it's going to get a little complicated as the brisa teaches more and more din. And what was the raya? The raya was, I am in the middle, I am in the chutzner. And we said that if I make an erev with the two outside guys, I, the middle guy, cannot carry into those two chatzeres, those two mavais, those two mavis. Why not? That is the din of Shmuel. Since I don't have a clear direction where I'm going to go, therefore I'm not allowed to go anywhere. Just like Shmuel said in our Mishnah, just explaining Rav Shimon, that the outside guys can carry with the middle chatzer, but the middle chatzer cannot carry with the outside chatzers. Now the brisa continues. Now I'm just going to preface that a lot of the dinim we're about to talk about are going to come up later in the Gemara. The Gemara just gives a little taste of them right now because it's the end of the brisa. So we're just going to explain in a simplistic level, although the Rishonim here really speak on more details. Let's just get the Pashut Pshat in the Gemara. Again, I'm in my chatzar, I'm in the middle, and I have two mavois on either side of my chatzar. I have one door, echad regila, one street I'm ragulin. I normally go that way. The other one I don't go normally. Zesha regila, aser. And what's the case? Again, I didn't partner with the Mavui. I didn't get involved with those people. So Zesha Regila, Abai, Aser. The street I normally go is Aser. Why? The same rule that we just said. Since I go there and I didn't partner with that Mavui, therefore what happens? Therefore there's a Mavui that doesn't have all the people, all the owners in that Mavui in a partnership. Therefore it is forbidden. Therefore it is Aser carrying that Mavui. However, Zesha Einei Regila, the opposite direction. I don't go out that door normally, Mutter. Since I don't normally go that way, we don't view it as if I'm an owner in that street, and therefore that street will be allowed to carry by themselves. That is the end of this brisa. Once we're in the vein of these different dinim of ir chatir, shita mevois, the Gemara continues. Let's continue. Let's say again, I'm in the middle chatzar, and I have two streets on either side. We said one I normally go, so that one is not going to be allowed to carry into their mavui. Why? Because I didn't partner with them. The other one I don't normally go, they're allowed to, yes, carry. Why? Because I don't normally go there, therefore it's as if I don't go there, therefore they have their own ownership, they have their own mavui, they're allowed to carry there. Says Rabba Ravuna, let's say I, this middle guy, go to make an Eruv with the side that I don't normally go. I don't normally travel out to the left, and with those people, I go and I partner with their Eruv. What's the halacha? Huter regila la'atzmai. So what I just effectively do, even though I don't normally travel that way, but since I partnered with that Eruv, that means I'm going there. So I effectively cut myself off from the other direction. Huter regila la'atzmai. So the other side is allowed to carry. They are considered by themselves. That is one din of Rabbi Ravuna. Rabbi Ravuna continues. V'amar Rabbi Ravuna Amar Shmuel. Im irva regila la'atzmai. V'zeh she'ina regila iloi irva. Let's say, again, what was the whole issue here? The whole issue here was I'm in this middle chutzner and I'm messing them up because I'm not partnering them in an Eruv. But let's say they go and they make their own regila la'atzmai. Again, there's two streets outside my chutzner. I could go right, I could go left. I normally go right. But you know what happened? The people on the right, those chatziros, those houses opening into that street, they made an Eruv. They got together and made their own little pact over there. The other direction, lo yirva. They didn't make an Eruv together. So without me notwithstanding, those who made an Eruv can carry. Those who didn't make an Eruv won't carry. What's the problem? The problem is if I go the normal way that I walk, which is the regila, I'm going to mess them up because I didn't partner with their Eruv. Says the Gemara, and he himself lo irva. We force him we force him to go out the door you don't normally go. Why? We force you on the Midas Sadaim because you don't lose anything. What are you being? I know part of my French. What are you being a jerk going out the other door? Why are you going that way? You don't normally go that way. I'm sorry. Why are you going that way? You're messing them up, even though you normally go that way. Meaning, the chiddush of the Gemara here is, you would think, I normally go that way. Leave me alone. I'm allowed to go wherever I want. I have two streets out of my chutzner. I'm allowed to go whichever one I want. The chiddush of the Gemara is, if by you going out that door, you yourself are not gaining anything. You're gaining just that it's a normal way of walking, but you're not gaining to carry. Because you either way weren't part of the Eruv. However, if you go out the other door, the door you don't normally go, it's going to be a tremendous gain. Why? Because then the other side, maybe their own Eruv, they'll be allowed to carry. We force you to go out that door. That was the end of the difficult Gemara. We'll give a little quick synopsis, and then we'll go further, and everyone can take a deep breath. The rest of the Gemara today, Baruch Hashem, will be much easier. Even though it's Erev Yantif, it'll be much easier. Again, one more time. Again, there's a few very important rules over here. Rules that we've seen times, and we're seeing as they build together. In order to make an Eruv and Eruv Chatzir, Shittim voice, every single person has to partner. If there's one person who doesn't partner, he messes it up and everyone is out. A concept that we saw the other day, that maybe we could say we could remove him, he could be mafkir, he's nechasim. A concept that we saw that if you go away for Shabbos, maybe we say it's as if you're going to come home, you're not going to come home. This is all the same point that you're messing up the Eruv. So now we have a unique case over here which we brought to bring a proof to the opinion of Shmuel. We brought to bring a proof how he explained to Rav Shimon, that he explained that Rav Shimon holds that the outside guys can carry with the middle guy, but the middle guy cannot carry to the outside guys. The proof to that was the case of a chutzner with two streets on the outside, and we said in that case that if I, the guy in the middle, make an ear with the outside, I cannot go and carry with the outside. That's a clear proof to Rav Shimon. The Gemara continued to explain that let's say there's one way that I normally go, one way I don't normally go, but let's go to the final case which brings out the most of the dinim. The one way that I normally go, they go and they make an eruv by themselves. and the way that I don't normally go, they did not make an Eruv, and I'm not involved anywhere. So I can't carry regardless. And like we said, even if I try to make an Eruv, I can't carry because I don't have a clear direction, right or left. Says the Gemara, we force me to go where? We force me to go out the door I don't normally go, so that the door that I normally go, since they made an Eruv, now they'll be by themselves, because the fact they go out to other doors at some level removes myself from that Eruv. They'll be allowed to carry, and I have to go out to other door. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda Shmuel, I think it's the third Rav Yehuda Shmuel teaching us a din, Ha'mafkid hamakbid alei Eruvin, another din of Eruv Chatzeris. And all these dinim are brought down la halacha, and they are relevant. Someone has to make an Eruv Chatzeris. You have to know these things. Some of these lechatchila, some of B'diavad will try to point out. Hamakbid alei Eruvin, someone who's makbid on the Eruv, meaning he partners in, but he gives his best piece of steak. He gives his special mami's challah. That's what he puts into the pot for the Eruv. But he's makbid. He doesn't want anyone else to eat it. It's his thing. Ein Eruv Eruv. It's not a good Eruv. Why? My Shemai. Eruv Shemai. What does the word Eruv mean? That you're together, it's mixed together, it's pleasant. If you put food in there and you said, I don't really want to give it, then it's not a good Eruv. Rav Chanina Amar Eruv Eruv. No, it is a good Eruv. Ella, but rather, Shnikra Anshe Vardina, we call you an Anshe Vardina, you're not a good person, but it is a good Eruv, and that is, B'diavad, it's going to be a good Eruv. And the reason why B'diavad is going to get Eruv, Taisus over here explains, is because it just means that l'chatchila you wouldn't give it, but if they push you up against the wall, you would give it. That's the machlekes if you don't want to give the Eruv. You're makbid. Amar Rav Yehuda Shmuel, a similar thing. Ha-chaylik is Eruv. Let's say you split up the Eruv into two different vessels. You put part of it in one bottle and part of it in another bowl. It's not a good Eruv. Eruv. Kiman, this should sound familiar. Kabei Shammai. The Tanya learned in Abraisa, Chamisha Gabel is Eruvai. 5 people that collected their Eruv. Vinas nu b'shnei kilim, they put inside 2 different vessels. Beis Shammai remains Eruv. It's not a good Eruv. Beis Hillel loymi maris Eruv. So seemingly this is going with Beis Shammai that are saying that if we take the Eruv, we put it into 2 different vessels, it's not a good Eruv. Answers the Gemara 3 lines further. White lines. I feel the same Beis Hillel. Ad kan lo kami Beis Hillel hasam eladim malion limana viyater. When did Beis Hillel say you're allowed to put your Eruv in 2 different kelim? When you fill up one vessel, it fills to the top, and then you have left over. Then Beis Hillel says, it's too filled, and you want to go to another vessel, that's okay. But Beis Hillel agreed that if you're just going and you want to split up the Eruv into 2 different vessels, that will not work. Therefore, even be the opinion of Beis Hillel. Says the Gemara, "V'tarti lamali." Why do we have to say the case 2 different times? That we pass like base that you can't put the Eruv into 2 different vessels. Seemingly, you had a Mishnah and you have the same statement again. I'm sorry. Why didn't they say the same din that you're a makbid and that it can't be in 2 different vessels? It's seemingly the same yisai. That has to be something that's accessible. That's going to be in. If it's in 2 different vessels, if you're makbid, it's the same thing. Says the Gemara, you would think in the first case, because you're makbid, you don't want to give it. But in this case, you're not makbid. It happens to be into 2 vessels. Maybe it'll be okay. Just in the case of the 2 vessels, I would have thought miflik. You would have thought it's split up. It's no good. In the case of the akbada that you're makbid, you don't want to give it away. We had to say both cases. Amar li Rav Abba Rav Yehuda, 3 lines into the wide lines of Be'atzarta. By the olive press, the Veirav, Zakai, Mi Amar Shmuel. Does Shmuel really say Achaylik as a Eruv, Einoi Eruv? Someone splits up his Eruv, it's not good. Amar Shmuel, by his Shemei Nichin, by Eruv, a house that you place the Eruv, Eino Zarklit and Sapas. Every house, you have 5 different houses on the block, 5 different rooms in the hotel. Each one has to partner in. Each one has to give a piece of bread. But the house where you put the bread, that house doesn't have to give. So what do we see? That's what Shmuel said. So seemingly says Shmuel, what's going on over here? Not every person has to be involved. My time, or what's the reason? La mishon da amar kivin da manach besala command da manach. Since it's put into your vessel, it's in your house. Therefore, it's as if you partnered. So the manach dami. It's really the same thing in our case. So why are we saying not that way? Says the Gemara, actually I'm just looking to see, there is a Rashi here, which I can't find. Let's look for one more second. Okay, let's move on. I can't find the Rashi. Amarle, Hasam Avabi She'in Pass. Avabi She'in Pass. My time, but the Kula Hachade Yare. Because they're all together inside the Eruv. Says the Gemara, that's the reason why it works. Meaning, when it's in my house, that by definition makes me part of it, even though I didn't give the bread, because it's within my house, that makes you a partner in my house. That's why it's going to work. But if it's a chelik is Eruvai, then not necessarily is that going to work. Says the Gemara, Amar Shmuel, Eruv Mishum Kinyan. So we have a machlokes now. What is the reason for Eruv? What happens? How do you create an Eruv? Fundamental Eruv Chatzeris. How does it work? Says the Gemara, Amar Shmuel Erev Mishum Kinyan, the creation of an Erev works that everyone has a Kinyan in the Erev. That every person here has an ownership in the Erev, and therefore everyone is joint owners in this area, and therefore we can each carry the area. Why doesn't it work with money? If the whole reason is that you're making a kinyan, so why doesn't it work with money? Because it's not common to have money lying around on Erev Shabbos. But if you did it with money, it should work. Meaning, if the whole reason is that it's just like Gzir, you might not have it sounds like, but if you have it, it should work. Says the Gemara, no, we're too afraid, and therefore even the evidence not going to work with money, because we're afraid you're going to think the money is the ikr, and there are going to be times that you don't even have money, and therefore, says the Gemara, if you make an eruv with money, it doesn't work. Eruvin it's going to come to mess up the eruv. That was the opinion of Shmuel. Rabba Amar Erev Mishum Dira. Eruv is because of Dira. Again, let's get this very clear. This is the fundamentals of Erev Chateris. Again, 4 lines up, we had Mishum Kinyan. That was the opinion of Shmuel, that Shmuel said that everyone is ownership over here. Comes along Rabba on the last line, and he says, Erev Mishum Dira. No, it's as if we're all dwelling in the same area. My Beinayu, says the Gemara, what's the difference in Rabba and Shmuel? Sounds very similar. So Gemara has 3 different answers. My Beinayu, Ikmenayu Kli. If you want to make a kinyan with a kli, like a kinyan sudr, according to the opinion of Rabbah that it's because of a dira, you can't have a joint, it's not called you're living in my house if we give a kinyan sudr, if we exchange a handkerchief, whereas according to Shmuel, could you make a kinyan that way? Yeah. Case number 1. Case number 2, Bachs Shava Pruta, is the Erev allowed to be less than a Shava Pruta, very, very small value. Again, if the whole reason is, according to Rabbah, that you're living there, you could be living in a place with a little bit. If the reason is to make a kinyan, you can't affect a kinyan with such a small amount. Moving along to Memtasa Mebeis, and the third nafkamin of Tin Rabbah and Shmuel is the case of a katan. Is a minor able to make the Erev Chatziris for you? Again, if the reason of an Erev is like Shmuel, that you're making a kinyan, a katan can affect kinyanim. If the reason of the Erev is like Rabbah, that you're becoming a dira, that you're becoming dwelling in a place, a katan could say that's where you're dwelling. Those are the 3 nafkaminas, katan, sudar, and bachs mishava pruta. Machlek is Rabbah and Shmuel, whether the Erev is says Shmuel because of kinyan, whether the Erev is because of dira, says Rabbah. Erev Chatzir is fundamental. Says the Gemara, Amalei Abaye l'Rabbah. L'didog kasha l'Shmuel kasha. Says Abaye, I have a problem with you, Rabbah, and with Shmuel. Hatani, we learned to the Bryce. Chamisha shegavas Eruv, 5 people collect their Erev. 5 people partner in an Erev. Kisheim meilichan is Erev. And then one Shabbos, they want to move the Erev to a new location. L'makim acher to a new place. Echad meilech l'kulam. One person to move the Erev for everyone. One person takes the Erev, moves it to the new location. Says the Gemara, who knew the Kani? Visulai. Who knew the Kadayer? Visulai. I don't understand. Both according to Rabbah and according to Shmuel, how could one person effect this Erev Chatzir is for everyone? It says you're moving the Erev, one guy gets up, one guy takes a piece of bread and moves it to a new location. I don't understand. He can only make a kinyan for himself, and he should also be only considered that he is dwelling there. How could that work? Both according to Rabbah and according to Shmuel. Answers the Gemara, Teretz, that I'm sure many people are thinking on Marley. So Rabbah responded, this is not a question on me nor on Shmuel. Shliach is the kuli kavod. He's a shliach, and that's how it works. Amar Rabba, Amar Rav Chan bar Guya, Amar Rabba, halacha ki Rav Shimon. The halacha is like Rav Shimon, and Rashi points out this halacha is like Rav Shimon. The original way we learned Rav Shimon in the Mishnah, that when we have these 3 chatzeros, they are mutter with me, I am mutter with them. However, they are not mutter with each other, neither like Rav Yehuda nor according to Shmuel, but according to the purebred Rav Shimon that we learned in the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Mem Tes, yes, Mem Tes of the says the Mishnah. You're traveling on a Friday, and it's getting dark. It's about to be Shabbos, and you're not near your city. And you're far away from the city, but you recognize down the road a tree or a certain row of bricks that you notice. So you say, Shvisasi tachtov, my shvisa, my place of dwelling, in order to be underneath that tree, by that wall of bricks. Loy amar klum, says the Mishnah, it's nothing, you didn't do anything. However, well, the Gemara, of course, will explain what's going on here. Shvisasi bi ikarai. If he said my shvisa shvi, you see that tree there? By the root of the tree, by the trunk of the tree. So then 2,000 amos, and he said that's where my shvisa is. He's allowed to walk from where he is right now until the trunk of the tree 2,000 amos. And then if that tree is within 2,000 amos of the city, he can then enter into the city and he'll have a miracle like Rashi says, like the Mishnah says, he's going to be able to walk 4,000 amos. Again, how did he do that? I'm standing here, I look 2,000 amos away and I say that trunk of that tree is where I'm going to dwell on Shabbos. So then when Shabbos goes, I can walk to that trunk. If that trunk is in 2,000 amos of the city, I then can walk to the city. Arbas alafim amma. Let's say you don't recognize the tree, or you don't know what to do. You didn't learn Gemara Eruvin thus. So you think, oh, it's Shabbos, you know something about Tchum. You said, okay, my dwelling place should be right here. So what happens? Says Rav Chanina ben Antignis, right there is your dwelling place. How far? 2,000 amos radius. Again, something that we've been discussing and we kept on hemming and hawing as we learned all the Gemaras. How do you get to 2,000 amos? Says our Mishnah, 2,000 amos in a circle. No, it's a square, like a square board. So that you gain the corners. Anyone who's not good at math, here's a picture. So to show you what you're gaining is that if it's a circle, you get 2,000 amos in a circle. If it's a square, you gain an extra 800 amos. That is how big of a square is larger than a circle. Back into the Mishnah, V'zui Shamru, and this should sound familiar. This is what he says. Ha'ani me'arim baraglav, the ani, the person who on Erev Shabbos has nothing, he's out on the road, he's allowed to make an ear with his feet. Amar Amir, only an ani. Rav Yehuda, no, really, even a person who has bread is allowed to be kind of the shvisa. He's allowed to acquire his dwelling place with his feet. Why do we say the creation of creating an ear with bread? Ella. It was only a kula ashir for the wealthy person. He doesn't have to leave his house. He doesn't have to leave the comfort of his home. He can send a piece of bread out with a servant. But it says of Yehuda, everyone is able to make an Erev with his feet. That is the Mishnah, a packed Mishnah. And of course, now the Gemara is going to slowly dissect the Mishnah. Let's just begin the Gemara. The Gemara now is going to discuss the first part of the Mishnah, that you're traveling on the road and you say that my shvisa should be under a tree, and said the Mishnah, Lo Amar Klum. Says the Gemara, "My lo yamar klum." What exactly does that mean? It's nothing. Amarav lo yamar klum kol eker. It is nothing. You can't even go to the tree. You can't do anything. You're stuck where you are. You get your dalet amos. You are. You're not even go to that tree. Ushmul amar no lo yamar klum the bayside. What it means is you can't get to your house. You're 4,000 amos from your house. It's you. It's the tree 2,000 amos away, and the city 2,000 amos after that. Says Shmuel lo yamar klum to go all the way to your house. To the city, but you're allowed to go to the tree. The sound familiar, and we make it like a camel and a donkey. We make it that you're stuck in the middle. I will conclude as we pull up this beautiful picture, courtesy of Kol Lashon. You see over here, let's say, for example, the tree is 30 amos, a nice wide tree. So see the person all the way on the left. See the city all the way on the right. You're 4,000 amos from that city. The tree is smack in the middle. But the problem is, you said my ear should be where the tree is. You didn't specify. If you said the trunk of the tree, then it's going to be beautiful, because then you're going to be able to get to the trunk of the tree. Trunk of the tree, you're going to be able to get to the city. Everything's going to be good. The problem here is you were not definitive. You said the tree, and the tree is very large, 30 amos. So says Rav, since you weren't definitive, you get nothing. Which we're going to talk about in tomorrow's Daf, Yom Kippur's Daf. Says Rav, you get nothing, and you're stuck in your dalet amos. But says Shmuel, no, you're not stuck in your dalet amos. You get to go to the tree, but then what do we do? Whichever way you want to measure, you only can measure from the other end. Meaning, from you to the tree, you get 2,000 amos. But as you see over here in the bottom, there's 2,000 amos. But then if you want to measure to the city, you have to measure from the other side of the tree, because you don't know. As you see here, the tree is 30 amos. Maybe you were kind of shvis on this left edge, and therefore you get 2,000 amos from there, and therefore you're going to end up short of the city. In this example, 30 amos. But the point is, according to Shmuel, since you're not definitive, you're going to end up short of the city, because we're going to have to go chamar gamal. We're going to have to give you both ends. And we'll pick it up discussing this machlekes Rav and Shmuel in tomorrow's shiur.